New questions are emerging about the Uvalde, Texas school shooting. Surveillance video images obtained by ABC affiliate KVUE in Austin show several law enforcement officials inside Robb Elementary shortly after the gunman entered. ABC's Maria Villarreal.
The photo showing multiple police officers standing inside the building with rifles and at least one ballistic shield 19 minutes after the gunman entered at 11:52 a.m. This despite school police chief Pete Arredondo's original claim that the officers weren't properly armed to take down the gunman at that point.
Records show that police did not go into the classroom for another hour. Kim Rubio lost her daughter, fourth grader Lexi.
Think about how long she was there. She was scared. She was in pain.
There were more calls at a school board meeting in Uvalde last night for Chief Arredondo to resign. Today's January 6th committee hearing in Washington focusing on President Trump's role in trying to overturn the 2020 election. ABC News Chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl also says the direction of the committee is changing somewhat.
They are not focused solely on the attack on January 6th. They are focused on what that attack represented, which was a multi-layered effort to overturn a presidential election.
A Wall Street Journal poll of leading economists shows more of them think we're headed for a recession within the next year, but it's not inevitable. ABC News Chief Business Correspondent Rebecca Jarvis.
President Biden and Treasury Secretary Yellen have said as recently as yesterday they do not believe a recession is inevitable, especially because of low unemployment and the strong jobs market. But a growing number of economists have raised the odds of a significant slowdown. According to the Wall Street Journal's latest poll of 53 leading economists, there is a 44% chance the U.S. is in a recession within the next year.
Here's a teensy bit of good news. AAA says gas prices have fallen to below $5 a gallon on average. You're listening to ABC News.
Do you know what people see when they Google you? Search engines don't always get it right. And when they're wrong, it's your reputation on the line. So what do you do when you don't agree with your search results? Call Reputation Defender at 800-401-6681. Reputation Defender is one of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. We have over a decade of experience in fixing people's search results, and we can help you too. Using cutting-edge approaches, Reputation Defender pushes unflattering information down to lower pages of your search results, where few people ever look. We also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, letting you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. You owe it to yourself to take control with Reputation Defender. Visit www.reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 for free advice on your situation. That's 800-401-6681.
More decisions due out today from the Supreme Court, still pending rulings on cases involving abortion and gun rights. It was a call that was supposed to go through from WNBA star Brittany Griner, still stuck in a Russian prison, to her wife. But now ABC's Andy Field says the State Department failed to make the connection.
The State Department saying it regrets that Brittany Griner wasn't able to speak to her wife on a scheduled call because of what it calls a logistical error. That error, according to the Associated Press, was the U.S. not having the embassy staffed when the call went through. Brittany's wife of 4 years said Brittany tried calling a dozen times. Griner's wife saying if she can't trust the State Department to handle a call, how can she trust it to negotiate her release?
A Girl Scout scam in New York. Police say a young girl on Long Island was going door to door with her father in recent months, taking orders and money for cookies. The problem, there were no cookies. Some parents are furious. Michael Lewis is father to a 9-year-old Girl Scout.
You could see the disappointment in her face, that it was almost as if she was taken advantage of.
Cops are still looking for the father and daughter. Cereal and snack food giant Kellogg is splitting itself up. The company making that announcement this morning. One section will get snacks and frozen breakfast foods. The second section will handle cereals, and the third company will focus solely on plant-based foods. This is ABC News.
Whether you're working in an office or remote, Staples has your tech.
New AirPods so I can turn up the music and tune out distractions.
Staples has your tech.
A Wi-Fi extender for faster downloads?
A portable keyboard so I can work from anywhere.
Staples has you covered with tech solutions and accessories, from the latest laptops to networking solutions. And now Apple AirPods Pro are just $199. You save $50. The latest tech solutions are at Staples, the working and learning store. N625 limit 2 while supplies last.
Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Today we'll see temperatures in the upper 80s and the lower 90s. It's going to be a lovely day for any outdoor activities because our dew points will be low, so it's actually going to feel tolerable. That number will climb as we head into tomorrow. Highs will be in the mid to upper 90s. It's going to feel like the upper 90s, and we do have the chance of seeing showers and thunderstorms develop late Wednesday afternoon and evening. I'm meteorologist Peter Sherwood in the Weather Center.
Well, it is the first day of summer and not as hot as it has been, but it's going to get up there pretty good. 94 are expected high today, with the dropping back to 69 tonight and back up to 98 tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be even warmer than today, but it is summertime. They've been teasing us with the weather for several days now with warm weather, but it's really get summertime already. 62 degrees. It's 8:05, and Andrew Tisdale is in the blue room with me, and we'll talk to him in just a moment.
What brings you to couples counseling?
He wants everything instantly.
Well, she always wants more.
Why don't we play a game? The new Carolina Jackpot Scratch-Offs from the North Carolina Education Lottery have millions in instant win prizes for you and a chance to win a rolling jackpot promotion for you. So it's a win-win.
That is a win-win.
I can't wait to tell Mother.
Hold my calls.
Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.66 to 4.72. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
All right, let's open our microphones up now to the man who's here on Tuesday mornings to talk sense about our financing. Edward Tisdale, financial advisor with Edward Jones, and he is with me right now in the room. Good morning, mister.
Hello, sir.
How you doing?
Wonderful. How you doing?
I'm doing well. You look like you're ready for summertime. Nice, good-looking short-sleeve shirt, too.
It just feels a lot better today.
Yeah, it looks good on you, too.
I was in 98-degree weather and y'all were in 98-degree weather here last week.
You ready for coolness, sir?
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Well, after we get off there, go jump in your swimming pool.
Yeah, it's a little muddy right now because we just got finished digging it out of the ground. It's only going to be like 4 inches deep, though. It's actually where the dogs were digging, if you really want to know the truth. So, don't be saying stuff like it. You know, you're going to get me in trouble because my daughter said, "Daddy, when are we going to get a pool?"
I know. These are troubling times financially. So, what you got on your mind today?
I want to talk about this crypto investing. What are cryptocurrencies? We see this in the news. You might be wondering if you should invest them. Here's why I want to talk about them, because this is getting down to some more fundamental facts about investing. Fundamentally, investing is not speculating. What is the difference between speculation and investing? And cryptocurrencies are a good way to look at that. Probably the main factor is the differing views in time. A real, true investor is in it for the long term. They are going to build a portfolio over different types of investments that over many years can eventually provide the resources to achieve important goals, like living off of it, say in retirement or things like that. But speculators, they want to see results and big gains right now. And they are willing to take very big risks to achieve these outcomes. So there's also a big difference in investing and speculation. So if I am thinking about this crypto, am I going to speculate or invest? Here's what cryptocurrencies are going to bring. They're going to bring volatility. We've seen that. Very big price swings. If you look at the market, the equity market in companies, and the amount that it has fallen here in the past few weeks, and you compare it to the cryptocurrency from where it's been at its peak and where it's fallen, there's a much larger decline in the cryptocurrencies. There's also a lack of regulation in these cryptocurrencies. For all the equity markets, the bond markets, things like that, they are overseen by the Security and Exchange Commissions and FINRA. There is no regulation on these cryptocurrencies. Let me just kind of put this down and blunt and on the table. Here's what can happen. Whoever invented the cryptocurrencies can disappear at any minute. It's not something that is regulated and actually can help you. So They just might just say, okay, we're done, and they're done. Or they may cash out their holdings and say we're done. I'm not saying they're going to do that, but that's what can happen, and why it's important to have some regulation on your investments. So let's bring this into the picture of what we're going through right now. Are you ready to invest, or you want to speculate? Is speculation wrong? I'm not saying that it's wrong. It's just, remember, when you're speculating, looking at the risk. If you are speculating, do like my grandfather used to say. He said, just don't worry about it if you lose it. If you can live without this and you lose it, don't worry about it. If you are an investor, now is a great time to look at some investments, because we're in a spot where they're on sale. Am I saying they're going to just, well, actually today the futures are going to go up. I don't know what's going to happen by 2 o'clock, but yeah, you're going to see some green on the screens at the beginning of the time today. But investing is going to give you a better way to live off of your hard work and live off of your income without having to work. Where speculation may get you there quicker, but it also can hold you back. Are you a speculator or an investor?
That's why we need somebody like Andrew Tisdale to guide us through these speculation troubled times of the inflation and up and down of the stock market. So call him at 828-287-9197, 287-9197. That's Edward Jones, making sense of investment. He's located on Charlotte Road.
It is. Charlotte Road, not Charlotte. Yeah, we're in Rutherford. We're here in hometown.
And somebody was telling me how glad they are that you're over there, because you have plenty of parking room now.
I have plenty of parking room, and Lisa's actually learned how to make really good coffee.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
So it's still there too.
Let's keep her around then.
Yeah, we try to. Yeah, she always looks out the window though.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Good view.
That is.
I'll wave at her next time I ride by the highway. Hey,
that sounds good. You can beep the horn.
Andrew, have a great day and a good week.
My pleasure. Y'all too.
Let's see now. Dr. Larry Reagan in the studio with me this morning at 8:30. He'll be here to talk about his new book. Right now we have news from here and there coming up in just a moment.
Smith Drugs of Forest City, we are continue to offer the COVID-19 rapid testing and the COVID-19 vaccinations. Please call our pharmacy at 828-245-4591 with any questions or concerns that you may have. You may also visit our website at smithsdrugsfc.com and schedule your COVID rapid 19 test or your vaccination. Again, if you have any questions, please call our pharmacy at 828-245-4591.
Smith Drugs of Forest City is offering the flu vaccines. You can walk in Monday through Friday or by appointment only on Saturdays. The Dream Station and System 1 CPAP customers, if you need assistance registering your recall devices, you can call the Home Medical Department at 245-4591. And Smith Drugs has a large selection of in-stock mastectomy bras, now half price. So come by our Home Equipment Department on West Main Street in Forest City. Smith Drugs, 245-4591. Sign-up forms are now available for the Meet Me at the Fountain 5K race to be held on Saturday, July the 23rd. Go to smithsdrugsfc.com.
Now let's look at some stories from here and there. We draw some of these from the Daily Courier, and this morning the Daily Courier is featuring Lou Gillum, one of our employees here. Lou Gillum knows her way around radio stations. She should, as Monday, June 20th, yesterday, marked her 40th year working in the radio industry. Lou began on June 20th, 1982. It was Father's Day when she began working as a part-time on-air personality at WBBO-FM in Forest City. It wasn't her first time in radio station. She was just a 9-year-old when she won a call-in radio contest. Lou says she had been singing since she was about 5 years old, often with an aunt who had a record player and would sing along with Lou. She loved entertaining as a child, especially for grandparents. WBBO switched to rock format in 1984, and at that time Lou was made full-time. She continued working there until 1991, which is when the station left Rutherford County, moving to Greenville, South Carolina. Then she switched stations to WCAB in Rutherfordton. She began at WCAB on a part-time basis, but soon became full-time. She has been at WCAB ever since. So congratulations on this milestone of Lou. The story is longer than that, but you'll check that. You got Lou's picture on there. Talks about her uniqueness of doing radio. It is working on a small-town radio station. Other news from here and there, I mentioned this earlier, but McDonald's restaurant in Rutherford County are no longer locally owned. But former owner Dave Hunt says the restaurant remained in good hands. This week it was announced that Staten Enterprise, a Charlotte area operator of McDonald's restaurants, is the new owner. Staten Enterprise purchased all 5 of Hunt's restaurants, 2 in Forest City, 1 in Spindale, 1 in Columbus, and 1 in Boiling Springs. Jeff Staten is a long-term operator in Charlotte, Hunt said. Jeff started with his folks' McDonald's at age 14. He's a good guy, a real straight arrow. The Hunt family's involvement with the local McDonald's restaurant stretched back to the 1980s. His parents, Dave and Katie Hunt, came to Rutherford County and bought into McDonald's near Tri-City Mall in 1985. They later added a Spindale location and a second Forest City location. Hunt purchased his first 3 from his parents and became owner-operator in 1999. Eventually, he had as many as 13 McDonald's restaurants. The Hunts have 2 sons, Roland and Sterling, who are college students. Even though he's hanging up the spatula, Hunt is not totally severing ties with McDonald's. He says, I will continue to be a McDonald's brand ambassador, and I wholeheartedly endorse the new owner-operator, Jeff Staten. So there you go. If you see some changes made, some differences in things, it'll be because it is now under new ownership. Another change locally, the Daily Courier has listed its building on Oak Street for sale. No, the Daily Courier is not shutting down, but they are selling the building. The sale does not include the business, just the physical building. It does not mean the Daily Courier is going out of business, simply selling a building that's too large and no longer efficient for the newspaper's current operations. Plans call for the newspaper to relocate its office to another location within Rutherford County. The speculation is that they are moving into the former Chamber of Commerce building, Main Street, Rutherford. Cannot confirm that, but I think that's the speculation. Paxton Media Group is looking to sell many of its newspapers. Aging buildings that are no longer efficient are feasible for smaller staffs and operations that have been consolidated at other locations. The Oak Street location has been home to the Courier before PMG purchased the Courier in 1998. Since the PMG acquisition, the number of employees has decreased and dramatically, while many of its operations have transitioned to digital, while others have been consolidated. In 2002, the Courier stopped printing its newspapers at the Oak Street building. Printing was first relocated to Lenoir, then to High Point, where it remains printed today. There were roughly 30 employees housed in the Oak Street building during its heyday. In addition to a press crew, there was also a composing crew where ads were created. All of those operations have been relocated. Composing and layout is performed at a hub in Kentucky. Only a few employees remain at the local site. There's a reduced editorial, sales, and circulation staff housed in 9,645 square foot building. The property listed includes 2 buildings, another at 1,440 square feet, 3 parcels with 2 parking lots. All the properties are going to be packaged into one sale. Daily Courier building there on Oak Street is for sale. Meanwhile, the North Carolina Rural Infrastructure Authority has approved 16 grant requests to local governments totaling $3.9 million. Governor Cooper announced last week the requests include commitments to create a total of 472 jobs, 137 of which were previously announced. The public investment in these projects will attract more than $67 million in private investments. Let me see if I can find out where Rutherford County fits in this picture. Rutherford County, I believe, is part of that. Yeah, Rutherford County, a $50,000 grant will support the reuse of a 36,689 square foot building in Ellenboro. The building will be occupied by Cross Air, a manufacturer of ventilation systems and air pollution control equipment. This project is expected to create 7 jobs with an investment of $772,827 by the company. Also, a $160,000 grant will support a 30,000 square foot expansion of a building in Spindale. The building is occupied by Fountain Electric Service, an electrical construction and service contractor. The project is expected to create 20 jobs with an investment of $1,085,500 by the company. Those are the benefits of that happening for Rutherford County, and there are others out there, of course. The Sheriff's Report with Sheriff Chris Francis coming up here in just a moment.
Saving money is easy when you shop at Jay's Discount Grocery. From snack foods to vegetables, fresh fruits to fresh cut meats, paper products, cleaning supplies, dog food, and so much more. You just never know what you'll find at Jay's. So shop and save today. They're located at 671 Oak Street in Forest City, right beside the Hospice Resale Store. When you shop at Jay's, you always walk out with money left over in your pocket.
Many of you love yard sales, and I know a bunch of you enjoy Anchor Down because it's like an indoor yard sale, except much of the merchandise is new. And listen to this. Clothes and shoes, 50 cents. Pocketbooks, $1. Anchor Down carries small kitchen appliances, electronics, furniture, and most things $5 or less, with the exception of some of the antiques and furniture, but still reasonably priced. There are deals all over the store. They get a new load every week, and sure, you may have to step over an item to get to another, but that's part of the fun of browse shopping. Anchor Down is located at 155 West Main Street, downtown Forest City, across from Carolina Chiropractic. Anchor Down opens Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 o'clock until 3 o'clock. So come see for yourself in downtown Anchor Down. That's where you'll find some really, really good bargains. Sheriff Chris Francis was with us earlier this morning on the Call Around the County newscast. We recorded his report for broadcast at this time.
In the last 24 hours, the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office responded to 131 calls to service. Within 12 arrests processed at the county jail. Currently incarcerated, we have 195. Among those arrested, Cameron Wilder Leonard, a 21-year-old male of Union Mills, was charged with assault on a female, communicating threats, and cyberstalking. See a district court judge for bond. Stephen Dale Schaefer, a 43-year-old male of Ellenboro, was charged with 3 counts of failure to appear on felonies, received a $20,000 secure bond. Walter Ashley Littlejohn, a 49-year-old male of Forest City, was charged on 2 true bills of indictment, one for habitual felon and one for injuring a detention officer, received a $10,000 secure bond. Andrew Robert Holloway, 31-year-old male of Forest City, was charged on a true bill for habitual felon and received a written promise to appear. Jeremy Ryan Paget, 34-year-old male of Forest City, was charged with failure to appear and received a $500 unsecured bond. Douglas Allen Underwood, Jr., 37-year-old male of Chesney, South Carolina, was charged with flee to elude arrest, driving while license revoked, resist strut delay, also had a warrant for obtaining property by false pretense, and another driving while license revoked, and transferring a stolen motor vehicle. He received a $60,500 secure bond. Alton Fred Altry, 60-year-old male of Union Mills, was charged with second-degree trespassing and received a $500 secure bond. Tina Louise Robinson, 50-year-old female of Ellenboro, was charged with 2 counts of felony failure to appear and received a $15,000 secure bond. Among our incidents, we had a damage to property on Pointer Road in Forest City. There was a mailbox struck by a blunt object, possibly a baseball bat. Damages were approximately $100. We had a flee to elude arrest, Ellenboro Henrietta Road. Ended up getting in custody in trailer park off South Pea Ridge. This was where Douglas Underwood was arrested. He was on a 1997 black Suzuki motorcycle before he was caught and arrested. We had a larceny of a motor vehicle on Jack McKinney Road, a black Kia Optima, displaying a tag of PJV 1922. It's valued at $5,000. It looks like son of the victim had let someone drive it, and it's not been returned. It's either unauthorized use or stolen at this point. We have another incident of breaking and entering larceny on Missionary Plantation Road, Ellenboro. Someone had broken into a window and taken a wagon wheel with looks like stained glass decorations on it in that incident. And Jim, that's what I had to report today.
Thank you very much, Sheriff. It's been reported also that Governor Roy Cooper has been diagnosed, tested positive for COVID. He is quarantining himself for a couple of weeks there. He had all the shots and the boosters, but he's maintained he got it anyway, and he says maybe he's got a light case of it because of the shots and the boosters. So we hope he's going to be okay and nothing serious developed. Dr. Fauci also tested positive. So, well, it's interesting and strange. So, we'll see. Now it's going to be time now for a sports update, and then the bottom of the hour we'll have Dr. Larry Gregg in to talk about a new book that he's got out being published, and we'll have that report and interview in just a few moments. We're always reaching out, as the old saying is, reaching out, touching the community with what's happening. Stand by. Sports Update is next, right here on 100.9 FM.
NCN Sports, I'm Josh Zach. Lightning struck 4 times in the second period as two-time defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay beat the Colorado Avalanche 6-2 last night in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals and narrowed Colorado's lead in the series to 2-1. Captain Steven Stamkos of the Lightning had a goal and an assist. He said they played much better at home than the first 2 games in Denver, but they expect Colorado will be ready for Game 4 when the Lightning have to do the same.
It's going to be a challenge. They're going to respond now. We've seen this before with teams. We need to improve even more, and there's going to be areas that we do need to improve in. I think special teams is, obviously huge. I thought our 5-on-5 play was a lot better tonight, so we have to stay disciplined. They got a great power play.
Game 4 is tomorrow night, and
off my boat, I'll be skating in Florida. Here's to the Sunshine State. Right.
And in San Francisco on Monday, they were cheering fans and confetti throughout the streets as the Warriors were given a parade to honor their 4th NBA championship in 8 seasons. They took over the city by the bay, and players stood on top of double-decker buses and inside cable cars. Series MVP Steph Curry talked about defending the championship next year and playing on Team USA at the Paris Olympics.
We represent you guys, like the life that you give us, the inspiration. This is what it's all about.
Representation is a worry in Charlotte as Kenny Atkinson's tenure as the Hornets coach ended before it began. A person with knowledge has told the AP that he's reversed course and won't take over as coach of the Hornets. Move coming over the weekend, more than a week after Golden State's assistant had agreed to a 4-year contract in Charlotte. The Hornets having now to reopen their search. It's not ideal for a number of reasons. Among them is Charlotte potentially is having to make the numbers 13, 15, and 45th selections in Thursday's draft without a coach in place. This is NCN Sports.
North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance was just named one of America's best insurance companies by Forbes and the nation's best auto insurer in Crash Network's Insurer Report Card for the 3rd year in a row. Sometimes being the best means being a little different. Our difference is our people. And with agents in every county, you've got local, award-winning service right in your backyard. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
Have you ever considered a career as a public power line worker? Public power line workers use a variety of specialized skills to build and maintain a locally owned and operated electric system. As a public power line worker, you can expect a career that allows you to work close to home, a safety record superior to other energy providers, and training and apprenticeship opportunities. Learn more about public power and careers in public power at electricities.com.
MLB action, Yankees ace Garrett Cole lost his no-hit bid in the 8th when Tampa Bay's Isaac Paredes led off by grounding a clean single to center field. He hit a slider that bounced off the pitcher's mound and into the outfield on Cole's 105th pitch in Tropicana Field. New York led 2-0 at that point. Corbin Burns pitched 7 dominant innings. Tyrone Taylor hit a 2-run homer, and the Brewers regained sole possession of first place in the NL Central with a 2-0 victory over St. Louis. The Atlanta Braves 2-1 winners over the San Francisco Giants. Newly promoted O'Neal Cruz drove in 4 runs and sparked the Pirates to a 12-1 romp over the Chicago Cubs. David Peterson pitched into the 6th with his wife expected to go into labor imminently as the Mets beat the Marlins 6-0, despite losing Jeff McDaniel to injury. Josh Zach, NCN Sports.
Today we'll see temperatures in the upper 80s and the lower 90s. It's going to be a lovely day for any outdoor activities because our dew points will be low, so it's actually going to feel tolerable. That number will climb as we head into tomorrow. Highs will be in the mid to upper 90s. It's going to feel like the upper 90s, and we do have the chance of seeing showers and thunderstorms develop late Wednesday afternoon and evening. I'm meteorologist Peter Sherwood in the Weather Center.
Well, this first day of summer is bringing to us relatively nice weather. It's 63 right now, but it will be bumping up to about 94 for the daytime high and dropping back to 69 tonight. Tomorrow, 98, almost 100. the humidity factor is going to be up there pretty high too. So summertime, they gave us a preview past few weeks of how summer's going to feel, I think. But today's kind of nice, 63 degrees at 8:29. Have a friend in the studio with me right now to talk about some stuff. I want you to know more about it, and we'll have that interview in just a moment. Here's a question for you. Are you uninsured or have a high deductible plan? Brock Family Care may be the right fit for you and your family. Brock Family Care offers a membership plan of $75 a month, and that includes unlimited visits, 2 sets of complete labs per year, 1 annual physical exam including an EKG, even house calls as appropriate. This seems to be the answer to put an end to complications with medical care and insurance plans. To learn more, call or visit the website at www.brockfamilycare.com. That phone number is 828-382-7282. And we put a special welcome into a longtime friend of mine, Dr. Larry Gregg, who has been around this area for a while as pastor and been an instructor at Gardner Webb and isothermal and written several books. And he has a new book out this morning we want to talk about. Larry, welcome.
Thank you, Jim. It's always good to be with you.
It's a good pleasure to see you. Now, before we get into the book that's in front of me, tell us about some of the other books you have written in the past that many folks probably have read.
Well, over the years, I became interested in writing relatively brief pieces that people could use devotionally or reflect on. The first one, a good many years ago now, was called Reflections of a Believing Thinker. And in which I tried to, I considered it a kind of exercise in Christian critical thinking. Used to tell students in the classroom that Socrates had said that an unexamined life wasn't worth living, and that Dr. Gregg says an unexamined faith is not worth having because it won't sustain you through the difficult challenges of life. And so I did that, followed it up with another collection of little essays called If You Ain't Somewhere Doing Something, You Ain't Nowhere Doing Nothing, and had a good time with that. Did a novel based on the first Jewish war against Rome entitled For God and Freedom, and then did some study on the book of Philippians, did a little book called The Biblical Characteristics of a Great Church based upon that. And then this most recent work just hit the market a few weeks ago, and in the fall another novel should be available based upon the New Testament character Timothy, called, quoting the phrase from 1 Timothy that Paul uses, Timotheus, dearly beloved son.
Sounds interesting, but that next book, I know this one here is going to be interesting to read as well. Now, are you doing any instruction at all, any place?
No, I am not at the present time. I, after I finished up at Isothermal, Limestone asked me to teach for them for a while, and still do consulting and interim pastorates and various lectures in different places, pulpit supply. But right now, my sense here, as the middle 70s sneak up on me, that my primary ministry will be through writing and publishing.
I remember a few years ago you had a program here on this station that was very enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a good time with that.
Random Musings of a Contented Old Man. That's an interesting, fascinating title. How did you come up with that?
Well, I'm pretty contented. I'm an old man, and I tend to wander randomly in the stuff that I think about, so it made perfectly good sense. I suggested it to the folks at Covenant Press, who's the publisher, and they said, we love it, let's go with it, so that's what we did. And you can tell from some of the titles of the devotionals that are in the book that it sort of lends itself to that kind of whimsy, and at the same time is serious as well.
Let me just mention a couple of titles, if you don't mind. Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been lost? He reached out and took my hands. His name was Jihad. G-Daddy was I, good boy today. All those fascinating titles. How did you come up with the ideas to use those particular subjects?
Well, basically what I do with these is just draw on life experience, the kind of life experience that everybody has. And some way or another, my cerebral cortex is twisted in a way that I will have a thought along those lines. And then, I have a brief story that sets the stage, and then we'll reflect upon, what are the spiritual implications of this. For instance, the weebles wobble but they don't fall down reaches back nearly 50 years to when my oldest son was a little guy, and those were popular little toys, and he sang the song and wanted to own the little toys, and so we would acquire them, and I realized that what was significant about the fact that those things didn't fall over was that they had a balanced center of gravity, that while they would wobble back and forth, they didn't turn over. And that led me to thinking about the reality that you and I as Christian believers, because God has created us in God's image and likeness, and in our faith has filled us with the presence of the Holy Spirit, we have a centering reality in us as well. So we may wobble and we may weave and we may bounce around, but as long as we keep our trust and confidence in the presence of God in our lives, we're not going to fall down disastrously either.
Interesting. A lot of theology there, although it
well,
there
is. All of these have, I would like to think, a fair amount of biblical insight and theology in them, without beating people over the head with fancy biblical and theological words.
I had not had a privilege of seeing this until this morning. I was just looking through it. All of these are relatively short. People can use them as devotionals even.
Well, and in fact, the book is designed that way, to be read devotionally. At the end of each piece, there's actually a section that's called Your Thoughts, Reflections, and Prayers, where the reader can, in fact, jot down what they're thinking about, what's going on in their lives, what they're praying for. So my recommendation for this book is it's not designed to be for a person to just sit down and read through it like a novel. It's designed for one of the pieces to be read and thought about for a day or a few days or a few weeks, and then move on through it.
One of the titles I'm seeing here that a lot of folks would agree with you, that there needs to be more of this committing random acts of kindness.
Absolutely, absolutely. And actually, you may, you've got some context in this. Remember back when we were doing the concerts at the high school?
Yes.
I was standing in line for the spaghetti dinner that RHP was sponsoring, and someone walked up to me and said, "Sir, you dropped something." And I looked down, and in the process of fumbling with my money, I dropped a $20 bill on the floor. And so I bent over, picked it up, thanked the person, and we went on. The next morning, I was going to an early morning class at isothermal, and coming across the parking lot was a young woman who'd been in church that I'd been interim pastor in here locally, and she walked up to me and she handed me an apple, and she said, "An apple for the teacher," and just turned around and kept on going. And I thought, 2 random acts of kindness in less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
And then I go on to encourage all of us doing that sort of thing on a regular basis.
I was having lunch at one of our local restaurants the other day, and by myself, I eat alone sometimes just to get away from things, but I was having lunch, and there was a group of men sitting at another table, along with 2 women. And when I received my ticket, she said, "Yours already been paid for. Somebody's paid for your lunch." Just out of a random act of kindness.
Absolutely.
She wouldn't tell me who he was, but somebody in the building at that particular moment paid for my lunch.
Absolutely.
I thought, how gracious and kind is that?
Absolutely. And the fact that you didn't know and will never know
Yeah.
is a part of the grace that's in it. We live in a world that's filled with so many random acts of violence
Yes.
that some of us should consciously practice these random acts of grace and goodness too.
What do you hope people get out of this book?
Well, I hope they'll laugh. I hope they'll cry.
Yeah.
I really hope they'll go, I need to think about that for a little bit, and that it will stretch their sense of religious consciousness and the presence of God, and the I run across a lot of people in what I've done over better than 50 years of ministry who want to talk about, well, I'm just a babe in Christ, and I ask them how long they've been a Christian, and they'll tell me 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and I say, if you've been a Christian for 30 years and you're still a babe in Christ, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Paul said, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I thought as a child, I behaved as a child, but when I grew up, I laid aside the childish things. And I think that that quite often in our Christian lives, we don't accept the challenge to stretch and to grow and to understand more deeply and more broadly than, or it's like another story that that's included in one of my little pieces too, where the little girl kept falling out of the bed. And her mom, after putting her back in bed 2 or 3 times, said, "Sweetheart, why do you keep falling out of this bed?" And the little girl says, "Well, Mommy, I guess I just stay too close to where I got in." And I think that's where entirely too many people are as Christians. They've stayed too close to where they got in.
I know all of these stories are birthed with love and appreciation for your wisdom. Do you have a favorite story out of all these?
Well, I think probably my favorite is based on my grandson many years ago when he was a little boy and was up visiting, and he wanted to know, "Gee, Daddy, was I a good boy today?" And of course I assured him that he'd been a good boy. But there I reflect upon the need that all of us have every once in a while for somebody to just give us affirmation, to give us encouragement. And I end the thing with my own personal reflection, that it was a shame that I waited till he asked to tell him that he'd been a good boy. I should have been paying more attention and been giving him at that stage in his life more reassurance and more support than I actually had.
I'm talking with Dr. Larry Gregg. He's the author of several books. His most recent book is Random Musings of a Contented Old Man, and it's a very fascinating one. I'm looking forward to having a chance to read it myself. Where can folks get a copy of this?
Well, it is available electronically at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple iTunes. I'm in the process, and the publisher and I are working together in terms of distribution to bookstores in the area. And that's unfolding as we speak. They can also be bought directly from me. If a person would like, I don't do PayPal and that sort of thing, but my mailing address is Post Office Box 347, Rutherfordton, North Carolina, 28139. And the book cost $18.95, and I've been to the post office to find out what it would cost to be able to mail it to people, and I can do that with a $5 shipping and handling charge. So if a person will send me a check for $18.95 plus $5 shipping and handling, I will put them a copy of the book in the mail. Or if it's local, I'll meet them somewhere and drop it off with them.
Any plans of autograph signing sessions?
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some of that. Right now, will be contacting local people about doing various different kinds of events where I could do signings. If you wanted to host one here at the radio station, I'd do that.
We'll talk about that.
Okay, that'd put you on the spot.
No, I was going to suggest, as a matter of fact, you're welcome to come here and sit one day for an autograph signing session.
Well, I'd be glad to do that, and one of the things I have to be careful with about this kind of thing, because as you know, I've been pastor and interim pastor at so many of the churches here in the area. I do not want to put those pastors on the spot, so I have no intention of asking a church to help me to market the book. But any business that would like to volunteer to host an event, I would be glad to talk with them about it. But try to stay away from taking economic advantage, my personal economic advantage, from my relationships with churches.
Sure. Dr. Larry Gregg, my guest this morning, the author of Random Musings of a Contented Old Man. Happy to have you in the studio with us again. It's been a long time since he's been here, so we welcome you back and look forward to great success with this book.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it.
Yep. Any best way to get in touch with you is by phone?
Yes. My cell phone number is 828-289-2519. And you can also find me on Facebook, and I do a weekly Sunday morning devotional that is similar to the pieces in the book. And if you'd like to to be a part of that, send me a Facebook friend request, and I will include you in the list. I also do a monthly Reflections of a Believing Thinker essay, and if you'd like to become a part of that electronic mailing list, the email address is dlgreg, the number 1, at bellsouth.net, and I would be glad to include you in that as well.
That's 2 G's, G-R-E-G-G.
That's correct.
2 G's.
And lowercase.
Lowercase. Give my love to your lovely wife.
Indeed, and you do the same.
Thanks. I'll be back in just a moment. We have My Great America with Jim and Butch, 9 o'clock this morning, 9:05. So hang around for that, and Larry will see you again soon.
See you, bud. Thanks a lot for the time.
At Four Seasons Hospice, we hear from many families who say their only regret is that they didn't call us sooner. Involving hospice care sooner means a better quality of life for you and your loved one. Our highly trained hospice team provides comfort, emotional, and spiritual support wherever you call home so that you can spend your remaining time together truly living. To request care, call 866-466-9734 or visit us at fourseasonscfl.org.
Bostic Florist now has a showroom full of gorgeous home decor. Now available, stylish lamps, a new line of candles called Root Candles, wreaths, beautiful lifelike artificial flowers and plants, and so much more. And of course, they always have been and will be your local hometown friendly florist that can deliver some of the most beautiful arrangements. Or if you have an event coming up, call on Bostic Florist. They have trained professionals to help make your day special. Whatever it is, they're located at 196 North Main Street in Bostic.
You know, I check out all the places I can locally that serve good food. That's why I can recommend Scrappy's Food and Fuel at the intersection of 221 and Chase High Road. Start your day with a full breakfast with handmade cathead biscuits. They're serving breakfast now. They start early with breakfast and do a lot of it. Cathead biscuits, ham, sausage, delicious coffee, and much more. Now Scrappy's Food and Fuel also sells a lot of their mouth-watering hamburgers and hot dogs, hand-breaded chicken tenders, and onion rings. You'll love their homemade chicken salad and homemade pasta salad, chicken wings, and so much more. Scrappy's Cafe is open 6 a.m. till 2 o'clock every day except Sunday. The store is open 6 a.m. till 8 o'clock Monday through Friday, Saturday 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. Now Scrappy's Food and Fuel is opening on Sundays, the store only. The cafe is not open on Sundays. So do yourself a favor and do business with our friends at Scrappy's Food and Fuel on the corner of Chase High Road and Highway 221, locally owned and operated. And I know you'll love those guys when you go down there. And sometime ask them how the name Scrappy came up for the title there. I think that's interesting and fascinating too. So why'd your name is Scrappy? He'll tell you. All right, one other quick story. I'm going to take a little pause for the calls and get ready for My Great America with Jim and Butch coming up. Ohio, you may have heard about this, but Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, a Republican, signed a bill into law June 13th that allows public school teachers and staff to carry a gun on campus after they have received 24 hours of professional training, an annual background check, and additional 8 hours of training each year. Now, the purpose is to provide greater security for the students and the schools, said the governor. The consensus, this is his quote, the consensus, strong consensus in the way police officers have been trained for now a number of years, is you go in and eliminate the shooter, said DeWine at a Monday press conference in reference to a school shooting and protecting students. The new law does not require any school in the state of Ohio to arm teachers or their staff members. Schools are not required to do this. Every school makes its own decision. They can choose to do that or not, but he's making it acceptable to do that legally. The law essentially goes back to earlier practice, which allowed the local school districts to make the decision on whether or not they will permit certain school staff members to be armed on school grounds. This is a local choice. It's not mandated by the governor or the legislature. Now, each school district in Ohio can vote to decide whether it will allow its teachers to undergo the training and carry a gun under the new law. There are 611 school districts in Ohio, so there'll be a lot of decisions that they will need to make in the school districts. Will we allow that or will we not allow that? Brings to mind, would we want that to happen here in Rutherford County? Would we want our school officials in the classroom to be able to bear arms if they chose to? Prior to this legislation, a teacher or school employee had to undergo 700 hours of training in order to carry a gun on campus, even though much of that training was not school safety specific. For instance, it included driving courses, patrolling in police cruisers, investigating traffic crashes, and operating a radar gun. The training of teachers is now being performed by the Ohio School Safety Crisis Center, which is also established. One of the training they should be able to do, it would be teach them how to fire the gun, teach them how to take them to a shooting range and give them some practice, because if you're not up on how to fire one, you could end up shooting somebody that you didn't want to shoot. So I hope that works out well for them in Ohio, and perhaps other states will pick up on that. I don't know. Maybe one of these mornings when I have opportunity, maybe we can do a little quick survey and ask you what you think about that here in Rutherford. I haven't talked with it, even allow that to happen in the state or anything like that. So it's never been brought up. It's never thought we would come to this point in our lives that would even be a subject of discussion. I remember, many of you remember classrooms where the worst thing that happened would be the teacher pulled out a paddle and maybe paddled somebody, or had to write 500 times, I will not talk in class, or I will keep my hands to myself, or those kind of things. Nothing ever would come to our minds that what's happening in schools today would be happening. Boys would come to drive their trucks and they have a gun in the back of the window there. It's not anything unusual back in those days. But now everybody's looked with a cautious eye about anybody that looks suspicious. So I don't know. It's a different time from what even 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. When I taught school, and I did a couple of years, it wasn't even thought that there would be any problem in classroom. Teachers had control of classes, principals had control of things, and rarely would you get a obnoxious student. Might be one disorderly student that would get out of the way. I didn't have many of those, maybe one or two along the way, but most of the time they were well behaved because their parents taught them to do that, taught them how to behave and respect authority and respect the teachers and respect the law enforcement. Parents anymore, many of them are falling in that response. And many of them, children today, are growing up without a father figure in their homes as well. That is a big, big, big problem for many. So it's a different age, and it's one of those things we need to really study about when we talk about punishing them and taking them, putting them in jail for whatever. We need to think about how to rehabilitate their minds and their hearts. Like they're afraid to teach them any kind